delighted to be joined by Patrick Murphy and John Lynch here at the Skipper Expo. Guys, you're both from different organisations which are very much linked to the fishing industry, and at this expo you've been kind of showing them the work that you do in the Irish fishing industry. It's getting very raw.
Yeah, well, like, this is a map of the activities in Europe, and you can see, like, UK is gone now, okay? So all the hotspots of area of activity is around our island. You can see it here, so this is from the green field. You see off the other coastlines outside here, there's no fishing here, the water's too deep. So they have a little bit of fishing inside off the coastline here, right? So these flotillas are coming up into our waters, and they're visiting our shores. We were talking to a lad now at the marine protected areas group meeting, and John will tell you that how many boats was it, John, that he has on the WhatsApp, the Belgian boat?
49, I think it was.
49 boats, you know, and he has 61 on the app that could come up. So 61, we have around 120 now left active boats. Yeah. We had 400 in 2004 through successive decommissioning schemes and modernisation schemes. We're down to 420 now. So nearly half of our activity could be seen by the Belgians here, and that's their shoreline there. You know what I mean? And they're coming up into our waters then.
And effectively, well, 85% of the fish in our waters is caught by
well, that's a statistic.
Fishermen.
Yeah, there was a statistic, you know, like they showed the catches in Irish waters, and of the 100 fish, yeah,
In the demersal quotas.
There'll be 15 in every 100. So we get 15 as a visiting boat, then we get 85 fish from there. Wow. So what that means then is that we have less and less fish for our boats to catch. And look, up in the sheets here, you'll see the amount of quota that we have. And this is how we differ from the European fleet, because we get to catch this every month. This is our quota, and we put a new chart up there for the following month. And we can't exceed these quotas. So you can see how small some of them are here. Like, look, cod in this area, 7A, that's in the Irish Sea, 1 ton for the boats. That's 250 kilos for the week. So, and the smaller boats, it's less than that, it's 125. So inside our own waters, look again up here in this area, in 6A up in the north, 200 kilos. You know, you can look at other species down here, the likes of plaice, and everybody knows what plaice is like. 500 kilos here, look, in 7F and G. And down in the Celtic Sea down here, again, only 1 ton, 1,000 kilos. That's 250 for the entire week. And you can see over here that the quotas are small, look, in Seoul. And other countries have bigger quotas than that inside our waters. And sometimes they don't catch that fish. What we're asking for when that happens is that we get access to that fish, that it comes back into us, and that there should be a review of the common fishery policy. And the reason why we review the common fishery policy is because a lot of the stocks, the scientists are saying, are in poor condition. But with us, with catching only 15% of the fish, it can't be us that's doing the damage. We must look at it.
Most of the fishing around Ireland now is done by foreign fleets, by other member states and non-member states, non-EEA countries as well fishing now. And since the Brexit, the activity in these hotspots around the Irish coastline has increased by a big percentage.
And if we put it back to the consumer, how does this impact on, a lot of people say, God, I really like fish. It's one of the nice things you could eat, but it's very expensive. All this has a knock-on effect. So
yeah, well, like the Irish boats are always getting the worst prices. That's the truth. They genuinely are. Our European colleagues are getting a higher price in the marketplace than their own.
It's because we're removed from the market.
Yeah.
They're closer to the market than we are.
Okay. So some of that fish that you're actually seeing inside the supermarkets might even come from an Irish boat. It could be imported fish. Because as I said, we wouldn't fill the amount of cod now that's consumed in the country. It wouldn't be caught here. Do you know what I mean? So that's proof then. So if the Irish boats are getting less prices, John said, they're removed from the market. Then the fish you're buying in from the other boats is the higher price. And that's the effect. So if we don't have a fleet catching the quantities of fish and being allowed to catch the quantities of fish, you'll pay more for it. Which stands to reason. You're importing this fish rather than it being landed on the ports and being distributed around the country. And then our boats are getting a smaller price. It sounds bad, but that's the realities of it. So we need more fish from Europe in our own waters. We don't need more fish down here in the Mediterranean or more fish over here. You know, we already have boats going up as far as here, catching such quantities of fish, pelagic species. But the white demersal stock, the lifeblood of the fleet, the majority of the fleet are demersal boats. And they're all family owned. John, it's his boat. That John, he's got a representative organisation.
They still have a vessel.
They still have a vessel. But John, you're one of the last traditional vessels in boat, aren't you?
Last.
They're the last boat that comes to boat, trawlers, in one of the biggest ports.
There's tug boats there now and small boats now. Last of the trawlers.
So that's
still a lot of boats used, so they're not, you know, still, if you go to Holt, there's still plenty of vessels there. The way Patrick is putting it, you know, actually from Holt, it's only one.
And Patrick Dorman's money for the European Parliament, the issue candidate, the European elections is coming too. Because you want to get into the European Parliament to do something about it.
yeah. And when people ask, well, what can you do about it, right? I'll tell you what you can do about it. When Brexit took fish from all the countries, right? We paid 25% overall because we lost access to the rock all up here. So all the fish we were catching there, the squid, we lost that. There was around 5 to 10 million worth of fish. We lost 25% of our pelagic stocks and mackerel. But we were hit by all the others, which we didn't have enough in the first place because we only have 5% of the hake to start with. But what happened then was all the other countries had to pay as well. But what they paid with was some of the stocks from the Irish zone. So they gave fish that they were allowed to catch, but they didn't own that. And that's a huge difference in law. They had the rights under the common fishery policy to historically access the fish that they had traditionally caught here. But if that fish disappeared, then they couldn't catch it. If the stocks went down, they couldn't catch it. But they used that fish in this water on top of what we had to give to pay their bill for the UK. And I think that's illegal. No, I know it's illegal. But that's only one thing. So the common fishery policy was built on 3 things. On relative stability. So it was to protect the coastal communities, all the people around the islands here, right? The second one was the stocks themselves, to make sure they were safe and sustainable for future generations. And the other was the environment. Well, somebody asked you or told you that the industry and the coastal communities had been depleted in the last 20 years by 2/3. Would you say that policy is serving those people? Certainly not. Certainly not. I agree with that. So that means, in that view, common fishery policy has failed. That's one. Number 2, when we get the science back from the stocks in our waters, and John will tell you the same, base, John, what are the ones at zero catch advice? Cod?
Celtic Sea, yeah. Place cod, the Irish Sea, sole, cod.
So herring would be adding to that, and now they're after adding pollock
in the Celtic Sea as well.
and pollock as well, right? In more areas. So around 7 or 8 species now that were safe stocks have now suddenly been depleted. Well, as I said, we have the smallest share in those stocks. So it can't be us that's overfishing those stocks. It has to be what the others are taking, right? So that means to me the common fishery policy has failed in what it was given to do, which was protect the sustainability of the stocks. Now we're not saying that the common fishery policy should be scrapped, but what we are saying is that every 7 years when a review is there and it's obligated, that the European Union has chosen not to do that, and they're saying, no, we don't have to change everything, everything's grand.
They haven't changed that?
No, they haven't changed in 50 years. In 50 years they haven't changed the relativity or the shares.
Oh no, that never changes.
Never changes.
That never changes.
So when that happens, that means to me there's a legal right for Ireland to challenge the right to the common fishery policy. But have you ever heard that from a politician before me today?
No. And the Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries is here. I've never heard it from him.
Never. So this is what I'm saying. So my learnings of the last 7 to 8 years of going to Europe already and working in the advisory councils, which John, I might add. So when we go out, we're met with all the different DG Mary officials, and they come to us with the legislation that they're introducing before it ever comes into law, and they discuss it with us. We add amendments into it, we try and reshape it, we're the stakeholders. So before it ever becomes law, we're seeing it in its raw sense. So we learn from that. So we're already learning it. So before our politicians see it in Europe, I'm seeing that legislation. But the problem is, the amendments we add in, I can't change it. I can make the amendments, I can put them in, but if they're not accepted by the politicians, it goes no. I want to make the move from the person designing the legislation to be able to listen to the likes of John and be that politician that will enforce it inside the European Union, because I think that's the missing link.
And you need to get into the commission with it. That's where
How do you work? Your coverage this area, John, you'll be covering this area of Ireland, so
we're on the east of the south.
you kind of work as a kind of, you have separate areas, but we work together.
We work together, yeah. All the people.
Yeah.
So, like if you go back to the Brexit, when the commissioner came to Ireland after the Brexit, he tell us, we were nice lads.
Yeah.
He made a commitment to us in Ireland about the unfair distribution of the quotas given to the UK in the Brexit agreement.
Yeah.
We get 43 million out of 160 million came from Irish quotas. So he committed to us that he would deal with that. He would deal with burden sharing between the coastal states of the European Union. I can tell you now, to this day, he hasn't given us one fish back.
Right.
Not one.
So we believe that the commitment that he made and we have performed, right, that it's on him, that is something that we should be able to go back to the Commission and say, honour your word, and then it's the same inside politics. It's a stronger thing than just, on writing. If somebody gives their word and gives a commitment and are the representative of the Commission, normally there's an implication for that and there's an inference that it will be followed through on. So we just want that. But we don't have anybody calling for that besides ourselves in Europe, and we're not at that stage that we will get that hearing that John is talking about. But be under no illusion, the industry is united when it comes to getting more fish from Ireland. Regardless, every single fisherman in the country might have their own different wants and needs, regardless of the cost. But the one thing we're united on, and I'd say John will back me up with this, is that Ireland needs to get some of its fish back to sustain families that are dependent on this road.
We have stocks that were deficient, smoke, haddock on the south coast. Sole is the big one. With 3% of the overall sole quota here.
Wow.
So there's another member state with 70%.
Yeah.
And the UK have the bulk of the rest.
Wow.
We have a tiny share. And you can't fish in a mixed fishery without catching some.
And I suppose when you look at this expo here, the amount of other industries that support the fishing industry, we see the technology, we see everything from nets to a whole wide range of items that are related to the industry. If this industry fails, all these other businesses
all
are
the
going to
money
suffer
you
as
see
well.
being invested here today, people will be investing money here, and it's in gear, it's in propulsion, power, and in technology. So in every one of those three categories, you have efficiencies. So if the vessels are making money, they can invest in a future, a more efficient future, more fuel efficient, less carbon emissions, and more selective fishing for the stocks. So it all adds up to having a sustainable industry. But to have that, you need to have an income in that can support that type of development.
You need fair, realistic proposals. Like you said to me before, if you sold a field of spuds and someone said, came along and said, I'm taking 85% of that spuds, you hit them with the shovel.
That's the reality of it. These are all fishing grounds. So this is, as it says, the real map of Ireland, right? And this shows it. This is rock on now, so the Scots have said, right, no more in there, so keep out, right? Because they put a 6 mile exclusion zone in there where we're catching a lot of fish. But like, look at the weather. This is the continental shelf that we sit on. So the sunlight goes down to this bottom. That's why the fish come here. That's why it's dark out here and there's no fish because we can't get out, right? So this is the gold mine for Europe now. Now, before you could say that England was the gold mine as well, right? But they're no longer in the European Union, so they're out. They have to pull the plug. Like this man here alongside now, he gave.
We've been talking already.
Sorry. So this man, and these are the simple figures that are up here, the amount of fish that we get, that they catch. So German quotas in Irish waters, right? 6,500, 56,000 tonnes, 11,000, Monk 573. But back in their waters we get zero, right? And then these are the overall quotas, like 63,000. And as I said to you, the Irish share inside that is we're over 3,000 tons. Well, this is what we're talking about. And these are all statistics that are there. And we just want the fair share and equal opportunities to catch the fish that we believe has an Irish passport in our own country and to manage it, to make sure that it's not overfished. And there are ways and means of doing that if the common fishery policy is reviewed, right? You could do it on effort, you could be doing it on sustainability grounds, you could limit the overall number of boats, you could do so many different things, but there's nobody seems to be wanting to do it. Because why? The others are happy, they have enough fish. Their fleets are getting bigger, their industries are growing, ours is shrinking, ours is contracting, you know? They're building new boats, we're scrapping our boats. So our country is losing, as a country, in the richest fishing grounds in the world, it's losing the right to fish. And others are coming in to take it. Like, you wouldn't accept it in any other area of life where anybody would come in and take what you have and take it from you and give it to somebody else. So the Irish people have to understand that there's a battle here to be fought. And here's the question. In 50 years, can you point the finger at somebody that's taken that battle to yours? Any politician or teacher or anything else? No. Well, I'm the person that believes I can take that battle out there. But I'm not going to go there unless people give me a chance. Loan me their votes and allow me to go to Europe. For 5 years, I'm willing to stall everything I've done, my own business, my own family, and to do what I do, work constantly for our fishing outside there. And I'm educated in this. As I said, we advise the advisory councils, we advise the minister, we were on the task force, we drafted the science, we work with the scientists, so we're well versed. But I need the shot, I need to get out there, be allowed. And that'll only happen if the people in Ireland South put a kick after my name, and hopefully it's a number one because I'm unknown, we're a new party, so I need people to believe in not just the party, but the person that's standing in front of me. I'm involved in fishing all my life, I've fought for fishing all my life, and I see the next step to making that choice and to getting results is in Europe. As John said, we have to get to the commission, but it'll take somebody with the mandate from our country to do it. No problem, Ron. Thanks again.
Every success.
Thanks very much.
How much are you looking at?
Thanks very much.
And I'm delighted to be joined by Kenneth Rumball, who is from Marine Services. Kenneth, you're here to Skipper Expo. Could you give our viewers just an idea of some of the services that you provide?
Absolutely, yeah, we're delighted to be at Skipper Expo. So our company is marineservices.ie. We're the leading provider to marine services for the TV and film industry in Ireland. So we worked on a lot of high-profile productions, starting off back way back in 1997 with Saving Private Ryan, which was shot in Curracloe Beach in Wexford. The last number of years, the Vikings of Valhalla series is on the History Channel and Netflix. The Banshees of Inisherin, which won a number of awards last year, and nearly every TV and film production, even small advertisements that you see the water involved in, for to do with Port Fulch, anything like that. That's who's been behind it is our company.
And how did you get into that space? Because I imagine the logistics of filming at sea or on the water, it's very, very different.
Yeah, so where we all came from was primarily the sailing background. We have a large sailing school based in Dundee, which is over here, which is INSS.ie, and INSS.ie was effectively the parent company, but we diversified hugely because of the knowledge we gained working around the water and getting up to 300 children afloat every day in a safe environment. So that was what INSS, and then that led us into the TV and film world, where we do the same in the TV and film world, getting cast, crew, everybody afloat, off the water safety, providing safety cover, be it as divers, rescue swimmers, on the water services, specialist crafts such as camera platforms, pontoons, arranging hero boats. We do all the logistics, so we will transport the boats all over Ireland and all over Europe as well.
So it really is. It's a very big operation. And then do you have any projects that you're working on currently?
No. Absolutely. There's always projects. So recently we've just been working on a project in Ireland called The Watchers. There's also The Tourist and the Astronaut. These are various productions that are going to probably come out later this year. and in the pipeline there's always projects coming in. It's been a little bit quiet in the TV and film industry just because of the writer's strike and also the actor's strike last year. So shows, and it's also the time of the year, but a couple of shows that are in the pipeline that you'll see coming out in the next year or two.
Can the owner of the Black Land Cruiser PA162WX195 please?
Absolutely. So this is actually our first time exhibiting at Skipper Expo. Because we've been market leaders in what we've done, a lot of brands have chosen to affiliate with us. So we have an e-propulsion which looks after electric drives, be it outboards and inboards. We looked at the Salva engines, which is outboard engines. And then one of our brands that we actually just took on this year is the Airfloat modular pontoons. We were actually Airfloat's biggest customer, and what happened was the company was kind of struggling a little bit, and because
that's this over here.
That's this here, yeah. So Airfloat pontoons, what we were using primarily in the TV and film industry, as it says here in the brochure, allows us to work on water. So these are our modular pontoons providing temporary access to the water. Can also be permanent. So it's another brand that is manufactured in Clonakilty in Carberry Plastics, County Cork, and then we distribute it all over Europe, and we do installations all over Ireland. So if anybody's from Wicklow, the Wendy swimming platform and the swimming platform in the pier was supplied and installed by ourselves. The best way is to follow us on Instagram, Marine Services. It's always a healthy feed on Instagram. Same at INSS Sailing, or if you look at on any of our websites, marineservices.ie or inss.ie, you'll find out everything that we do.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for taking time.
No worries. Yeah, super. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Now I'm very delighted to be joined by Edward Sheehan of the Sheehan's Fishing. Edward, you're very welcome to the Irish Political Roundup. Could you give our viewers kind of an idea of what you specialise in?
Well, I suppose we do a bit of multitasking. We have a marine store based in Danish Island, Castletown Bear, and we supply the fishing industry with a range of chandlery, ropes, combination, etc. We do a bit of trawl repair, and we also supply ropes and stuff to the aquaculture industry. And we started this business. We started this business off, I suppose, in 1998. We built our store and went into the supply side of things. Before that, I was involved all my life in the fishing industry. We have an involvement in 4 fishing vessels, one of which we own ourselves, and the other 3, the skippers have financially involved in the boat. We have boat that concentrates on pelagics, and we have 3 boats that concentrate on prawns, freezing prawns at sea. And I am joined now by my 2 sons in the industry. They're both work ashore. Jason does relief if we're down the skipper, he takes the boats to sea or whatever. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's very kind of diverse range of activities as well. And do you get to go on sea yourself?
No, haven't been out in a long time now. I spent a lot of time at sea when I was younger. I spent a lot of time at sea, I suppose, when my kids were younger. But over the last couple of years, I haven't been at sea at all. Main reason being I can't cope with the technology, I suppose. I grew up in a different era. My education would be very, very limited, and I was dyslexic going to school, so I'm not able to work the electronic logbook or emails or stuff like that. It would be a bit beyond me. I've always done the donkey work. I prefer to be pushing or shoving or splicing or something rather than sitting in front of a computer.
Absolutely. And the main kind of fishes that you specialise in, prawns and pelagic, you were saying.
Yes.
Where would, when they're frozen and ready to go, where would they last? Would they be going locally in Castletown Bear and across Ireland, or?
No, most of them would be exposed. We land our frozen prawns to Castletown Bear Fishermen's Co-op, who have been selling our fish since since I started fishing a long time ago. And the prawns would be stored in the freezers in Castletown, and when the market, depending on the market, a lot of our prawns would be frozen prawns would go to Mercadona or a Spanish-based shopping centres and fish shops and restaurants, etc. And a lot of it would go to some of it would go to Italy. Basically, all over the world, they'd be fish with the frozen prawns would be exported. It kind of cuts out the middleman, because the prawns on board are they're graded and washed and cleaned and frozen and into 3 kilo boxes, so they're ready for the supermarket. So there's no middlemen. So the Castletown Co-op can send out different sizes depending on what grade the supermarkets need or whatever. So it's something that has. I suppose it only started with
a big operation.
Well, it's something that's only started, I suppose, with 15 years, and there's an awful lot of boats freezing prawns at the moment because of the fish quotas are a big problem. The price of fish is a big problem. So for the boats that we have freezing now, it would not be economical for us to go, or possible for us to go whitefish. So for any other species of fish,
you've had to diversify as a result of
yes, we've had to diversify, and I would be conscious that if anything happens, the prawns situation, there is nothing else left. Really? So we're in that sense we're very, very vulnerable. We have a good fishery in the Parkmine Bank, and I think that the Parkmine Bank is somewhere that should be preserved. The only way you can preserve that is close it, and I would be recommending, and I have recommended to the authorities, that the Parkmine Bank should be closed 6 months of the year for everybody, not alone for Irish fishermen, but for everybody. And then you would have a very positive fishery going forward for a long time.
And on the subject of quotas, do you think there's anything that can be done to kind of give Irish fishermen back a better quota than what they're getting? When you have 85% of the fish in our waters that is fished, it's been fished by vessels from outside the country, so we're getting a pretty raw deal.
We're getting a terrible deal. Like, we have been basically sold out for generations and generations. There's no, I don't think there's in my lifetime, I don't think there's been any fisheries minister that has actually stood up and walked out of the room or hammered the table for the good of the Irish industry. It's an absolute disgrace. I mean, the majority of the fleet landing in my hometown in Castletown Bay are Spanish and French. And if you go to Killybegs, the majority of landings in Killybegs at the moment are either Norwegians or Atlantic. And we're in a pitiful state for the stocks that we have. It's just an absolute disgrace.
Absolutely. Well, Edward, we appreciate your time talking to us here on the Irish Political Roundup, and we wish you every success for the rest.
Thank you very much.
For the expo. And if people want to find out more about Sheehan's fishing and co, how can you do that?
Just you have the number there, and Jason, he's the manager. So yeah, absolutely. So, man, thank you very much.
So we're here at the stadium, the Limerick University. The whole conference room is filled, and each cubicle is a business involved in the fishing industry, and people have never seen the likes of this because we obviously don't get the proper public coverage for this. But this will tell you what the industry is worth to Ireland. It's a lot. We get, in 7 years, we get around 300 million coming into the country from the European Monetary Fishery Fund. Our Navy gets money out of it, our Marine Institute, Board BIA, EIM, the department themselves, Sea Fishery Protection Agency. It's not just about fishing. There are hundreds and hundreds of other ancillary jobs like that. But not only that, then you see all the different industries. You even have people here that have computerized systems for seeing the weather, seeing the temperature of the water. Like, there's more to fishing than people realise. It's as technical now nearly as flying an aeroplane. You have to know the weather conditions, temperature of the water, the amount of fish that are in the water. You can monitor by the phytoplankton in the water. All these things in the modern technology that's developing. This is an industry worth protecting. Ireland has the richest fishing grounds in Europe. Genuinely. We're on the continental shelf. The Irish people need to get somebody to Europe, and I hope I'm that person, to take this to protect what we see down here today, because if this is gone, we will be an island nation with the richest fishing grounds, and we are not even allowed to catch it. The last time that right was taken away from us was when the UK, when England invaded us, kicked us out of our homes, put us on the streets, starved us, took away our rights. Look how long it took us to get back those rights. Let's not let them slip away in another manner. Let's not let the legislators in Europe, the Commission, the Member States themselves, and the European Parliament strip this away from you. These are your rights. This is what we should be fighting for our children and their children to come. Thank you.